Check out this exclusive interview at the G-List Society with your host, Wadey G, right now.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Wadey G with the G-List Society, and I have a very special guest on the line with me. We're going to talk about his brand new album, Where's Vivian? It should actually say Where's LastO, because, man, I mean, in my opinion, and probably it's the only opinion that counts, he's the greatest rapper we have in the LGBT community. I know I like several of them, but I'm very ecstatic to be having him on the line because we're going to talk about this brand new album that we all been waiting on. But he's a New York MC. He's, you know, one of the most popular rappers in the game out right now, and I just want to say welcome, LastO.
Thank you, Wadey. I appreciate it, man.
Most definitely. I mean, you know, much is deserved, brother, because, you know, like we were just talking beforehand and through Twitter and stuff. This album, which comes out on, Tuesday the 22nd? I mean,
Tuesday the 22nd.
I tried to find something wrong with the album. That's how good it is. It was like, I tried to find something wrong. But before we get into the album and how good it is, and there are certain tracks I definitely want you to speak on, first, just let's, you know, for those people who are unlucky and not knowing who LastO is, you originate from St. Louis, right?
St. Louis. Yeah, St. Louis, Missouri. Not too far from you.
Exactly. Kansas City, St. Louis. Well, yeah, Chicago now, but, you know, originally from Kansas City. And I used to have this rivalry because I come from University of Kansas, and a lot of my good friends, even still today, are from St. Louis, and we talk about y'all's accent. And, you know I'm talking about that and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
It is so interesting.
By the way, I don't think I got that too much. I don't think I got that.
I'm going to tell you, though. That's what I'm about to tell you, though, because we met, like, in 2009. Officially met in 2009 when I stayed up in New York for over a year and, you know, got to bond and all that stuff. Never heard it once in any conversation unless I just couldn't pay attention. But when I listened to your album, anytime there was an air, it was a I swear to God. I swear to God.
I turn it on when they press record. I guess I just turn it on when they press record.
But you know what? And that's one thing I want to say when we talk about the album is what I really appreciate about that album, and I believe that's where the Earth come out. I feel like you just, like, let loose. Any guards that are up, it came all the way down to your recordings. I feel like the greatest thing I could say about Where's Vivian, if you want to know who LastO is, listen to the album, especially certain tracks, which we'll get to in a minute and stuff. So you know, what was, especially being a New Yorker now, how has St. Louis influenced to the person you are today?
Well, you know, I mean, of course it's got that influence on me because I was born and raised there. And, you know, I wasn't necessarily, I wasn't necessarily typical St. Louis. Let me put it that way. Because a lot of the people that I knew and grew up with and so on and so forth, ended up getting into a lot of questionable situations, a lot of bullshit and stuff like that. And I was luckily able to avoid a lot of that. But at the end of the day, you know, St. Louis is definitely a part of my heart. We all country up there. So somebody's always asking me where my accent is from because I'm up here in New York. But there was a lot of experiences, you know, that came out of growing up there. For one thing, it's very conservative. This Missouri at the end of the day, and so you definitely feel that attitude towards gays. You know what I mean? So the first chance I could, I had to get out of there. You know, I moved to California, and that's where I actually started doing music.
So did you come out while you were growing up in St. Louis? Around what time or what part of your life did you first identify yourself as gay to yourself? and then, you know, come out and felt uncomfortable about where you were?
Well, let me see. To myself, I knew in second grade, you know what I mean? Like, I knew as much as you can know being a second grader. I guess what, you like 7 or 8 at that age.
Right.
But I accepted it 6 years later when I was in 8th grade, you know what I mean? Because up until then, I thought it was something I was going to be able to change. But in 8th grade, I finally accepted it. And and then it was funny because it actually became fun for me because it became like this secret that I had. And it almost makes your life more interesting because you have to keep secret and you got all these secret things going on, you know who, we all know who fam is, so you know who else is getting, you know what I mean? It's just like, it was definitely a fun time, but there was some down times too, like definitely times where you feel depressed and you wish things were different, but they aren't, and you just have to learn to accept them.
Did you feel the depression from just like being different or trying to deal with your sexuality, or from people maybe figuring you out and they had something to do with it? What do you mean by the depression of it?
Well, the depression mostly came from the fact that I came from a religious household, so not one, but two pastors as my parents.
You a PK?
Yeah, I'm PK. And so of course, I came up with the same religious, indoctrination that a lot of black youth come up in. And one of the main things that they saying from the pulpit, of course, is that, the gays are evil and it's the life of sin, and the only thing you got waiting for you after death is, eternity in hell, and so on and so forth. And if that's all you come up hearing, you end up believing that. And for a long time, I struggled with that part. Once it became, I don't know, clear to me that by being this way, I was going to end up in hell. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so
yes.
that was very difficult.
Wow. And then so, dealing with all those emotions and just, on top of your sexuality, at what age or what point of your life did you just say, okay, you know what, enough of this, and when you were talking about moving to Los Angeles?
Yeah, no, definitely. When I was still living with my father for a good period when I was in St. Louis, because my father and my mother separated at some point, and I was living with my father. But I knew that as long as I lived under my father's house, I could never, be me entirely.
Right.
So that was definitely a countdown. Because, I went to college, and I was living with him while I was going to college, and I was like, as soon as I graduate college, like, I'm out of here. And I definitely started stacking all the paper that I was making in my job, and I ended up saving like $13,000. And then, yeah, I know, right? It was just that discipline, baby,
Shoot, you need to teach that to me.
And I ended up saving like $13,000. And so what I did was I moved to Los Angeles. And at the time, I was trying to pursue like a career in film. And so, Los Angeles was definitely the place where you go. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, and then that's where you discovered your love for rapping or just, music period, right?
Yeah, I mean, I always knew I loved rap, but what ended up happening was rap began to, like, outweigh film, because ever since I was little, it was all about film. But then when I got to be, like, in college and so on and so forth, rap kept calling at me, and finally it called so loud that I ended up saying fuck film. Because I became disillusioned with that whole Hollywood industry anyway.
You know what? That's what I definitely wanted. When we talk about your album, that's like one of the topics I want to get into, because it's just, you know, like I said, to people who are listening, if you really want to know who LastO is, you've been following him after all this time or knowing him, I say if you don't feel like you know him in person, you will definitely get to know him in the album, because even in that aspect, what you were talking about, you know, just the feeling, the Hollywood thing, I even felt that in your album in some of the songs.